And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Our Kevin Miller Cash Code, week 2. Code word number 1 for Monday is train. That's right, train. Go to KIDOTalkRadio.com for your chance to win up to $5,000. Maybe pay off some credit cards. Maybe go to Hawaii. Maybe have a great run at buying a car, something like that. Or, again, pay off some debt. KIDOTalkRadio.com. Remember, listen at this time, 6:03 and 8:03 and 3:06 during the Sean Hannity Show for your chance to win $5,000 on KIDOTalkRadio.com. Well, we can say we knew him before CNN and his multiple media appearances. The Washington Examiner, David Drucker, returns, joins us once again at KIDO Talk Radio. David, good morning.
Hey, good to be here.
You know, it seems like a lifetime since we've had a chance to speak. You've covered politics. You've lived politics for years. How is the Trump administration different from anything that you've ever seen?
Well, I think that the number one thing is that the president does all of his own talking, and he does it all of the time. And therefore, whenever the president speaks, it always carries a lot more weight than when one of his spokesmen speaks. And so there's just a lot more coverage involved, and there's a lot more decision-making involved in terms of how to cover everything that he says. Whereas with most, presidents, it's always been, well, look, we don't have to pay too much attention to the press secretary every 5 seconds. When the president speaks, we'll definitely pay attention. So there are some differences.
Yeah, I was just going to say over the weekend, and I, like a lot of people, get notified when the president tweets on Saturday. I'm just like, sir, give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes I have that feeling as well. I think the other thing is that I think this president talks a lot with different audiences in mind, and I think it is harder to determine exactly how to respond or analyze his tweets or his statements. I think that a lot of times, for instance, he'll attack the media, and some in my business, sometimes including myself, the instinct is to analyze exactly what he said about the media. And as we've covered him, I feel like it's become clear that I don't actually think he means half of what he says about the media. It's just that he knows that his loyal political base likes it when he attacks the media. So therefore, I don't think it's necessary for us to take seriously everything he says that is critical of the media, because it's not really what he actually thinks. On the other hand, I think there are leaders around the world who don't know the difference. They use the president of the United States as a model, and so there are larger implications than just our domestic politics. So then I find myself back to, well, I guess maybe we should be covering what he says again. But my favorite response on Twitter to the president's controversial statements about the media has been basically "don't take the bait," which is a sort of message to myself and my colleagues that he's only attacking us to get a rise out of us. He actually is, in a weird way, rather accessible and rather, I think, friendly with the media in a sort of way.
David Drucker joining us from the Washington Examiner. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. So the president and the congressional Republicans, is he getting along with them or isn't he?
No, they're getting along right now. They're getting along largely on Trump's terms, but they're getting along, and the president, on his, for his part, is not going out of his way to pick fights either. So I think they've sort of met each other in the middle, if you will. And I think that's because they both realize they need each other for the midterm elections. If the president is busy beating Republicans over the head on Twitter, there's less of a likelihood that Republicans will get the turnout they need to survive. And I think the president realizes that if they don't survive, that the next 2 years can be very difficult for him.
You're right. You could be whether or not he survives. In the past, you've written about Claire McCaskill in Kansas. I'm wondering, or in Missouri, I'm wondering, does she really have a tough run this time? I know there was a big resignation and everything else. I'm wondering, she always seems to be in jeopardy, but she always seems to come out ahead.
Well, she was in jeopardy in one race in 2012, and she just was running against an idiot who said all of the things you need to say to lose. And she's not running against that kind of a candidate this time. So I think, it'll be a close race, at least for a while. But I think she's in real trouble.
Tomorrow is a big day across the country. Does that really resonate in Washington, the primary day for some of the senators, Senator Tester and others that are kind of in our area? But, people are getting ready for the midterms. Does that really play out in Washington, what happens in Alabama or Montana?
Well, we're watching. Look, there are some key races where the Republican nominee, which is mostly what's being contested in your neck of the woods, is going to matter. And so we're keeping an eye on that. By the same token, in California, there are some House races where this top two primary is playing out. And it's a big deal. It could determine whether or not Democrats are going to have a shot at winning a couple of House seats. When you're trying to cobble together a majority, everything like this tends to matter. So people are paying attention.
Finally, your thoughts on, I don't know, David, you work all the time. We see on TV, we read your work at the Washington Examiner. Do you watch the Sunday shows, Giuliani's Greatest Hits again, if you had a chance to catch any of that yesterday?
Yeah, look, I've got kids, so weekends are a little bit busy, but like anybody else, believe it or not. But I pay attention. It's my job. Look, Giuliani, I think what the president and his legal team are trying to do with Giuliani in the lead is lay down a marker for the political conditions under which Mueller's report is going to be interpreted whenever it comes. And I think everything you're seeing from Giuliani is a way to set the table for how the president wants the Mueller investigation and report to be viewed. And they're also doing everything they can as a part of that to delegitimize the Mueller investigation. And you've begun to see House Republicans, at least, that have been friendlier towards Mueller start to join their colleagues on the House Intelligence Committee, where there hasn't been too much love lost for Mueller. And they've all started to sort of sing from the same songbook, which is wrap up the investigation. We don't even know if it's legitimate. Get it done. And so that's where things are headed. And I think that's what we're seeing from Giuliani on a near daily basis.
David Drucker, we appreciate it. We'll continue reading you in the Washington Examiner. Thank you for making time for us this morning.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. David M. Drucker joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's go to Terry in Boise on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Terry,
Kevin.
Good to hear from you.
Just calling in about the property taxes and things of that nature. We start out with and I'm fighting this cancer and the side effects from it, and I don't know what to do, and prices are going up. With the FEMA, the flood insurance we all have to have, and the street I'm on the South Cole, and haven't had a flood in 150, 200 years. And they start out with $50, and now it's up to $2,400 a year to have that flood insurance. And that's not even counting the taxes. So, that's $200 extra dollars a month. And then you got your taxes. And people coming in from out of state, I think if they have their kids in public school, I think they ought to carry the burden of the taxes there. I think people over 65 should not have to pay the property taxes to be able to keep their home and not be taxed out of it. That's a real fear for me now, because I don't imagine I can get back in the workforce again at my age and start over again. It's just ridiculous. And you present evidence to people like the thing on the flood insurance or the property taxes. You work a lot and you get all that material together, the evidence, and it just doesn't work. And it's just, like this country right now. You got a legitimate president that they're trying to impeach, and you've got 18 felonies on Hillary Clinton, and does no good. We, got a double standard there for law, and the FEMA, we got them doing these chemtrails, which has pushed the Arctic air and kept it up in the upper part of the upper third of the United States, which is bringing all those storms and floods. and so we have to pay for other people's floods in other parts of the country, and on this FEMA insurance. I just feel it's really sad that that it's so hard for elderly people to. I hate to say that about myself, being elderly, that just be able to stay in your home and retire in peace. It's always high stress, drama, and the politicians having all attorneys being politicians. I wish they get more crazy people like Trump in, and it makes me wonder about, since the Trump tax cut, that the state of Idaho thinks, well, the people here that have property have more income now since the tax cut, so we're going to get it and raise the taxes.
Well, and you wonder where the taxes are going, to buy parks, to do this, to do that. I love how you pointed this out. There hasn't been a flood. You start off with $50, it's up to $2,400. And then if a flood happened, really would the city take care of you?
No, because you have to have 3 other people on your street that has the problem to get them to pay or to help. You got to have 3 other people and be in the same position and the same status that your flood is on the same street. And I thought, man, that is really bizarre. And we got some pretty intelligent people that live on my street. It's a private, it's a dead end. It's like thinking like a dead end life. But
you're just full of them today, Terry.
Well, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. But you can only be positive so long till you're positively sunk. And I tried to fight this FEMA thing, and it was only that much, and now it's went up to $2,400, and and the prices and their taxes. And I feel the people come from out of state that have children and they're at that age, they should carry the burden of the taxes to carry for their education for the school. But, the academics that you point out, like in the university, since it went over to the government running it, look how it's went just so bizarre. And so many people are in debt, these millennials coming out of university. It's really sad.
Well, and you have to wonder if the fix is in, if they want to push out the people that have been here to get the big money in from the folks from California that are paying.
Yes. It is kind of sad, and bringing the mentality. I grew up in the South Bay area and went to school at Stanford and everything, and I moved up here for the quality of life, the hunting and fishing and everything, and it was a beautiful place, and had government grants, but the medical clinics went defunct because of Watergate, and they hadn't accounted for the money, and so I had to change careers and get different letters after my name. But it's really sad that you think you got representation, but they can talk a whole paragraph and not really say anything, and it's really sad. And you are our light in this Treasure Valley, putting light on. And you know how politics is, and what they did to you back east and ran you out.
Right.
And I just see a president that's done so much accomplishments, and see these people that won't even admit to it, and the double standard that you were talking about with Roseanne Barr and this idiot comedian, and this double standard on media. It's hard to ever get the truth. And I get my news and education about politics, schools, and everything, military. It's going on through you, and I'm just happy that we have you. And I heard you over the weekend talking to that Sandler guy, and I hope you don't want to take off in 3 years like he was talking about.
I don't plan to go anywhere, but you never know what they have planned for me, Terry. And I always say that because you never really get a chance to say goodbye, but my prayers are here, and it is my intent to be here. I've got to run, but God bless, Terry.
You take care, too, and keep giving us the great knowledge that you have, and your ability to bring it to us in this Treasure Valley. You're a great man, and God bless you, and tell your mother hello. I wonder how she thought about the elections that went here.
Well, she'll be in a month, so we'll have to bring her in.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
And, Terry, you are in my thoughts and prayers every night. Doug in Mountain Home, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Yeah, good morning. That guy there, Kevin, just said a whole mouthful of what's in my heart, period. I mean, you talk about double standards, and you see, I don't even live in Ada County. I live in Elmore, way out in the sticks, but I see it. It's just taxation, double standards. People wake up and watch what's going on with your political agenda here that's coming up. You want some relief? Get rid of the freaking crap that's in there like Trump's trying to do. Vote them out, period. And, I mean, it's all of the incumbents that are in there now that I see. You see Crapo Simpson, where he's talking about FEMA. As far as I know, Kevin, they voted in Crapo and Simpson voted in to have emergency funding on this fire thing for the forest fires. Kevin, it's all a big money grab. They made a career out of making jobs for this fire industry. I know guys that I work for. And I'm not saying these guys are the bad part of it, but it's just pump money to it. You know, and then they look at it and say, well, look at all the jobs we created. They don't want to put nothing out. All they want to do is tax everybody to death. And the other thing was what he was talking about was the double standard with Clinton. Well, you can see it as plain as the nose on your face. The reason why nobody will prosecute her is how every one of them, if there's got something dirty on them, she'll just open her mouth and start freaking squealing to where the rest of them are going to have something on them. Get rid of them. I'm done, Kevin. I mean, I just get so freaking upset with this crap. Everybody's trying to, just like me, I'm 62. You join, or I signed up for Social Security. You pay into that and Medicare all your life, and now they want to take Medicare out of my freaking Social Security check. I got a friend that he signed up for it, him and his wife. Between the two of them, they don't make hardly nothing, and they got to pay for Medicare. It's freaking stupid what they're doing to the elderly in this country, and it's because you're not in the workforce. They don't care. They can't get taxes out of you. Matter of fact, they hope you die. So there you go. And like he said, Kevin, stay on the air. This is where I get my truth, is radio, because you can't get it on TV, period. Thank you. God bless you. I love you.
Love you, Chuck. God bless. More coming up here. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
The President of the United States pardoning himself would just be unthinkable, and it would lead to probably an immediate impeachment.
There you have it, Rudy Giuliani, the only station he wasn't on this weekend. I think Fox News Sunday. He was on Meet the Depressed, on liberal MSNBC, and this week with George Stephanopoulos. And now you have people saying that the president is king and all these sorts of things. It is crazy. Whether it's David Drucker or what Doug or Terry have talked about, how the press continues to contort the real truth. And we went through this with Bill Clinton about being indicted. That didn't happen for Clinton, who could have been indicted for perjury. He was impeached instead. And yet, really, as Newt Gingrich said over the weekend, what do they have? They have absolutely nothing. By the way, coming up at 7 o'clock, we'll debate tariffs with Dave Petzo. We'll take a break from Rudy Giuliani for a minute. The Prime Minister of Canada is mad. We'll tell you about that in a minute. I like this. At least we're not Canadian. We'll tell you why that's a good thing. But first, traffic and weather together. And Kevin Miller in the morning. So here you have the Prime Minister of Canada, Gary Trudeau, because he, Mexico, and others were slapped with tariffs. He's mad.
The fact that the president has moved forward with these tariffs is not just going to hurt Canadian jobs, it's going to hurt U.S. jobs as well. And neither of those things is something that Canada wants to see.
You know, by the way, I made a slip there. Gary Trudeau, you remember Gary Trudeau from Doonesbury, right? The popular comic in the funny papers, for those of you that remember the funny papers. Gary Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada, a young man in his mid to late 30s.
First of all, we're putting the same kinds of tariffs exactly on steel and aluminum coming from the United States into Canada to be directly reciprocal. But we are also putting a number of tariffs on consumer goods, finished products, for which Canadians have easy alternatives. One of this either made in Canada or made from another partner with no tariffs.
And there you have it. The Canadians are upset, and we'll get into this with Dave Petzo. I'm happy about this, because the gig's up. The free ride is over, and the president has decided to look things and put things in perspective and to take up for Americans. His chief economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, had this to say.
Mr. Trudeau, I think he's overreacting. I don't want to get in the middle of that. As a fine friend and ally of the United States, nobody denies that. But the point is, we have to protect ourselves.
And there we have it, the president laying down the tariffs. And God bless him for that. Coming up next, a local teacher. You remember the guy in Preston? Well, the gig is back for him, and it doesn't look good. He's been charged with animal cruelty, a misdemeanor. We'll tell you about that next and take your calls. Thank you for waking up with us. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, we'll get your thoughts on the Preston teacher now charged with animal cruelty. I believe he can get, 6 months in prison or in jail or some type of fine. We'll give you the details coming up on that. Plus, the president says, Rudy Giuliani says the president can pardon himself. Well, what's good is it to be the president if you can't pardon yourself? So, again, yes, Mr. Crossland in Preston could get up to 6 months in jail and up to a $5,000 fine. We'll take your calls on that coming up. But to Chicago, Jeff Manasso joins us now, Fox News radio, to talk about Fox Wheels. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
I am well. And you?
I'm doing well.
That's good to hear. What about, this is a big story from the Fox Wheel segment, is the Chrysler brand in danger?
Well, we were getting rumblings that Sergio Marconi of FCA was possibly going to announce the end of Chrysler in actually scrapping that once big American car brand. But that wasn't done. So what happened was he announced a massive 5-year investment plan. So FCA is going to spend about $10.5 billion in electric technology. So that's a 5-year plan. We'll see what happens to Chrysler and Dodge then. But it was thought that Chrysler and perhaps even Dodge's days were numbered. FCA devoting most of its resources in terms of design technology and other things, and just capital investment on Jeep, Ram, Alfa Romeo, and Maserati. So Dodge and Chrysler, I mean, they've got several successful vehicles, including the Challenger, the Journey, the Durango, the Grand Caravan, Dodge or Chrysler with the 300 sports sedan and the Pacifica minivan, doing pretty successful with not a lot of capital having to go into these products. So we'll see for the long term, but it really was thought, Kevin, that Chrysler was going to scrap at least the Chrysler brand. So, we see this as we saw Oldsmobile and Pontiac go away. It's kind of tough to see, American car brands go away. But in the realm of business, this is where we may be in the near future.
No, I was thinking of that, of Pontiac and Oldsmobile, and most of us grew up with those cars. And, would it be possible that perhaps Chrysler becomes some type of innovative hybrid type company, as you just alluded to? I know they're putting money into the hybrid technology in the electronic vehicles, but could that be some type of future where they just exclusively, look at themselves as, the latest in technology?
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible in business, but, who knows? And we've seen a private company take on, Pontiac Trans Ams and, there's been some interest in trying to bring these car companies back to life, but it really takes a lot of money. And in the day and age, what we're talking about, billions and billions of dollars, and electric technology and self-driving technology. It's a difficult task because it seems to be that the industry itself is demanding that we get to all electric and all self-driving vehicles, even though, as you know, that we've talked about this, Kevin. I don't think that as consumers that we're there yet in terms of our demand for that kind of stuff.
I would agree with you on that. And then, every time I see a sedan now, I think of you, Jeff Manasso.
A lot of deals to be had. If you want a car, if you want a cheap, not cheap, that's probably a horrible thing to say, but if you want an inexpensive thing to drive, I'm telling you, the deals. You can get a 2018 mid-sized to smaller sedan, for, probably, almost $10,000 below MSRP. And that's well below invoice. And, they just want these things moved because they're not selling them. So it's a really good time. You buy that car and you add to it, incentives like 0% financing. And, it's a really good deal.
Jeff, finally, though, we've talked about the American car companies moving away from the sedans. Are the Japanese looking at doing the same thing, considering you have the success of, the Honda Civic, the Toyota Camry? Are they feeling the pinch as well?
Yeah. No, many of them are. And the interesting.
Well, I believe we lost Jeff Manasso. Just when we were going to find out the future of cars in America today. Jeff, thank you very much for the phone call. Phone number is here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So this just broke, and again, I don't know why. I was sitting here in the office on Friday afternoon about 4 o'clock, and I don't know why these stories seem to break. Well, maybe it was about 2 o'clock, I guess. And I'm looking at the Daily Fish Wrap, and you get the breaking notice on the phones. What did we ever do before we had the breaking news alerts? What did we ever do? We waited till the news at night. I mean, the media folks were the gatekeepers, right? So the Preston, Idaho science teacher, you remember him, Mr. Crossland. And we had so many people say that Mr. Crossland's a good boy, that he's beloved by the teachers, and he's beloved by the students. He's a little eccentric, but, the people there, he's very popular. In fact, so popular that the folks in Preston, the local attorney, the prosecutor, had to recuse himself. So they called in the attorney general. Now, you remember, this is the guy that's accused of feeding the puppy. We don't know whether the puppy was alive or not, to a snapping turtle, March 7th. Mr. Crossland was charged Friday with 1 count of misdemeanor animal cruelty. According to the court reports, and convicted, he could face up to 6 months in jail and a $5,000 fine. Now, I believe Mr. Crossland hasn't been suspended by the folks in Preston. And folks in Preston, again, local control. They love local control. So I guess he's still teaching. Well, he was still teaching for the entire school year. And, you kind of take a look at this, and there was an online petition to keep Mr. Crossland, signed by the local people. Then you had an online petition signed by everybody else that wanted him gone. Now, we all respect life. We all love life. And look, I fall down on they shouldn't have killed the snapping turtle. That's right. They killed the turtle. The state came in, found out that it wasn't native to the area, so the turtle got it. The turtle didn't really do anything wrong. The turtle's an animal. And, we hear the stories of the sick puppy and everything else. But if you're an educator, if you're a parent, if you're an adult, you have to act responsibly. You have to live by a code, right? You have to act appropriately. And as what I've said here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, there is no redeeming value in what Mr. Crossland allegedly did. Again, people are innocent until proven guilty in America. I truly believe that, and I know that you do. But, having this on school grounds, having this with students there, and it's funny, people say, well, it took place after school. If you are ever involved in anything to do with the school until those kids get home. Until those kids get home, you're responsible for them. Whether you're driving the bus, whether you're a teacher, an educator, or maybe once they leave school grounds. But on school grounds, the school is responsible. The school would be endorsing this activity. And why haven't we heard from leadership there? Did they endorse this? Did they know what's going on? And if they didn't, were they complicit or incompetent? Very simple point in life. You can deduce any type of argument back to this point. Are you complicit in allowing this horrific thing to happen? Or are you incompetent that you allowed it to happen and you didn't know about it? Like I said, there's a lot of local reaction in Preston that Mr. Crossland didn't do anything wrong. Some people will not be fans of animals. Some people say 6 months in jail? Really? Why would anybody do that for a puppy? Well, those people are dopes, in my opinion. And let me apologize after the fact if I insulted you for disagreeing with me on this topic. You just don't do those things to live animals. It's not Thunderdome. It's not Battle of the, who survives. The lesson there could have been taught some other time. And if the lesson was that important, and if it was, again, if there was nothing wrong, then the principal, the department head, and everybody else should have known about it. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, misdemeanor animal cruelty, I'm surprised that the state charged it. I thought that the state, the way that it treats animals as a property, and there are no laws protecting animals in the state to a degree, that this would just be allowed to happen, right? 6 months in jail and a $5,000 fine. And yet, where is the Preston School District on this? Do they endorse this activity? I love this. The superintendent, who again is slow walking this, once we've seen the details, we'll release a statement, the district said. The state attorney general was asked to take over the case because the Franklin County prosecutor, Vic Pearson, cited a conflict of interest. Now remember, this went around the world. In fact, you had a petition of almost 200,000 people that wanted him out. And as we said before, the online petition to keep him there, former students, community leaders that know Mr. Crossland the best, they've shown their support, almost 4,000 to keep him. Now, Joy Christensen, the chairman of the Preston School Board, told the Statesman in March that the board would not make any decisions about Crossland until the criminal investigation had concluded. Now, again, I don't understand why you wait. If something happens, how many people get to keep their job if they're under investigation? Right? And really, do you have to sign a morality clause, which most people, I suppose, do? That if you embarrass the institution, even if you're innocent, you're gone? And yet here you have a teacher, I guess, beloved in the community. Why? I don't know. I just don't see any redeeming value of this. And 6 months in jail, people might seem that extreme. Hey, what about the puppy? Or the poor snapping turtle? Now, what will happen to Mr. Crossland? He'll probably have to pay a fine. But the school district should have acted, in my opinion, the school district should have jumped in and decided, no, Mr. Crossland, you're going to take some time off. We're going to remove you from the situation. They've had threats against the school. They've had threats because of this. People care about their animals. So, I love this. Snapping turtles are considered to be an invasive species, so the turtle had to go. We couldn't find some place to take the turtle. I'm sure you would have had someone who loves turtles take the turtle back to his native environment. But again, it's taken a long time. And why did it take so long? This happened in March, and we're in June. Did they basically run out the clock there? So at 580-5436, 580-KID, would you want to delve into this issue when you're looking at this about Mr. Crossland? And to me, even 6 months in jail. But again, go back to how you felt when this incident happened. When you're a teacher, when you're a role model, when you're a leader, you don't do these things. And if there's nothing wrong with it, then why didn't they do it during the school year when kids were in class instead of doing it after hours, allegedly? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And talking about the Preston teacher now accused of feeding a live puppy or a puppy to a snapping turtle that was euthanized by the state. God bless America. Trevor in Star with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. First
Hey.
time first-time caller. Kind of funny that it's a turtle and a puppy that finally got me to call in. But I've owned various reptiles through my life. My daughter actually has a ball python now, so I wanted to call and maybe give a different perspective from the animal cruelty aspect of this charge. And what if this guy had fed this turtle a rat, which is a common feeder animal in the herpetology world, and many reptiles will only eat live prey? Is it still animal cruelty if it's a live rat? I mean, I think the charge is a little off.
I think people feed rats all the time, though, don't they? Don't you go and you can buy mice to feed the snakes and all that?
Yeah, you go buy rats. They're labeled feeders, and that's what I'm getting at, is that's still a live animal. And if feeding your pet reptile live food is now an animal cruelty charge, you've got a lot of people you need to go lock up for 6 months out there.
Interesting.
The fact that it was a puppy and kids, and I don't necessarily agree with what this teacher did. He probably had some pretty bad judgment, but an animal cruelty charge for taking care of your pet, I'm guilty of that.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that, but
that's what I'm saying. It's a live rat or a live mouse. It's the same process of a reptile feeding.
Right. Now let me switch it on you. Trevor, where do you cross the line? I mean, a puppy to a snapping turtle? I thought turtles just ate grass or whatever.
No, snapping turtle's a predator. Snapping turtle will eat anything it can fit in its mouth. Much like a snake. I mean, a lot of people own, my 14-year-old daughter's something we do together. She wanted a ball python a few years ago, so we made a tank and did the whole thing, and it's been a great little pet for her. Ours happens to eat frozen. I try to always feed any reptile I've owned to get them to eat already pre-killed prey because it's safer for the reptile. But there's some reptiles will only eat live prey, and a live rat is just as alive as a live puppy. I get it. It's not as warm and fuzzy of a feeling having a rat to a puppy, but from an animal cruelty charge, from the legal side, I would think a lawyer could probably get this guy off pretty easy on that charge. And whether he should still work at a school or not is a separate issue.
Trevor, don't be a stranger. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Trevor and Star. Let's get you to And let's go to Liberal Steve with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
I totally disagree with the last caller. There's a big difference between a icky, Mickey, disease-infested rat mice than there is a little baby puppy. And I want to know where those puppies came from that they were feeding Napoleon Dynamite. Was that the name of the turtle? No, that was the name of the movie back in Preston way back. Sorry. I was thinking that was the turtle. But, yeah, I want to know where those puppies were coming from. I want to get to the bottom line of this. In fact, I want to see maybe a Dateline show on it. I think it'd be a good one for Dateline to follow up on. How long have they been killing puppies over there in Preston? The whole thing is disgusting. Anybody that have a snake for a pet is, good God almighty. That's all I got to say, Miller. Stay fired up and go Trump.
What will he think of next?